Hey gang, here with one of the resources that we have available to us with precision nutrition. One of the questions and one of the issues I see a lot of you having is being prepared. So this little infographic gives us some ideas on food prep rituals, if you will. A ritual is a habit. It's just something we do on a daily basis or a weekly basis or on a regular basis to help us control our environment to get the result that we want. But we first have to know what a meal should look like. I've got another graphic that we'll get more in detail with this, but the bottom line is we're not counting calories and grams and this and that with this program because that's really just not, for most people, a long-term solution. So here you go, 1 to 2 palms lean protein, 1 to 2 fists of vegetables. That's something that's going to be a challenge for a lot of people because they don't get that at every meal. Fats, we're looking at a thumb, and that might be, and it's probably things you are cooking with, or like good fats, nuts, avocados, and those types of things. Um, don't forget the fats you're getting in your meats as well. If it's a fattier cut of meat, that might suffice those 1 to 2 thumbs. And then carbs would be all else, not vegetables, but like fruits and starches, as you can see in the graphic there. And we're looking for 1 to 2 cupped hands. Bottom line is if you're a female, you're probably at the lower end of that. And if you're a male, you're probably at the upper end of that. If you're outside the norm size-wise, height, the amount of muscle you carry, or if your goal is to put on more muscle, these guidelines might have to be skewed just a little bit. But that's a little bit further down the road for us. Here are a couple ideas on the weekends. Number one, I talk about this with a lot of you in our meetings. It's looking ahead. When are going to be days that are going to be challenging to take the time to prepare food? And those are the days you really have to have stuff ready. The other thing I would say here is what are the days that you know you're going to be eating out? Where are you going to be eating out? And can you look up that menu online so that you can make a good choice when you're not sitting in front of people where there's peer pressure and pressure to come up with something quickly off of a menu that you're not familiar with. So being prepared, again, even for the restaurant you're going to go to and what's on the menu is a big deal. Sometimes just take a second to grab a few of the recipes that you know you can make, that there will be extra left over so you can use those later in the week. Make sure you have the ingredients. Meal prep in the way of chopping and having things thawed is huge because if you're hungry or if time gets away from you, this can be a deal breaker. And then lastly, be prepared with the types of things you need so that you can store conveniently, grab and go. I understand this, 3 kids, a job that takes a lot of my time. It's not a 9 to 5 job. Um, I've got to be ready. I've got to be prepared. I've got to be able to grab because once life starts rolling, it's easy for me to make bad decisions if stuff is not convenient. Love these ideas, especially the breakfast one. Breakfast is a challenge for a lot of us, getting out the door in the morning, handling kids, so on and so forth. I love the oatmeal in a jar. Take a look through this. I'm not going to read it to you, but the gist of it is putting everything together and ready to go the night before, let it soak. So in the morning, all you've really got to do is heat it up and go. And obviously you want to store that in the fridge. The one thing I like here, and somebody asked me this week about protein powders, I like to throw a little protein powder in with my oatmeal so that I meet my protein requirement with one meal rather than, making a shake over here and making oatmeal over here and grabbing, several different pieces of a meal. Uh, obviously you can soak the beans and lentils the night before so that those are ready to go the next day. And the same thing with grains, just making life a little bit easier for the next day once life's got you rolling. I'm not I just mentioned it, and this is why, do things in the morning, get ready type person. In precision nutrition, Dr. Berardi talks about morning rituals. Maybe for some of you that works. For me, it's just too crazy in the morning to get things done. I'm more of a Sunday ritual kind of person, so a lot of these chopping, washing, boiling, toasting type things I tend to do on Sunday. So for me, that means cooking several chicken breasts, cooking several turkey burgers and beef burgers on a Sunday, and preparing those things so that they're ready to go in containers when I need them for meals or for lunches or whatever may have you. As we move along here, it's again just talking about being prepared. If you're going to scramble eggs on a Monday, why not do extra and store the extra so that on Wednesday all you've got to do is throw the liquid into the pan and have it ready to go. Cutting cucumbers for a salad if you're making hummus on the next day. Really, all of this comes down to forethought. And it's sort of like our program. You get out of your body what you put into it. Nutrition, there's no area in your life that if you're not prepared, you don't plan ahead, that you will be successful. I can tell you, and I think all of you know, professionally, business-wise, you can't just haphazardly show up. You've got and expect to excel in your profession. 9 times out of 10, it takes forethought, it takes planning, it takes forecasting, it takes preparing before you get in front of somebody in order for you to excel at the highest level you possibly can. Your nutrition and your fitness are no different. And that's what this chart really drives home, is looking forward, planning ahead, and having things ready to go. The next one is, again, the oatmeal in a jar, or you could do salads in a mason jar. Another great idea. In fact, there's a business here in Bloomington Normal that will take salad orders ahead of time and get you salads in a jar. And I think you can put orders in and pick up at the Hy-Vee store. Last, Dr. John's big on his chili. Really not a chili time of year right now, but here's a recipe you can take a look at and make it on a Sunday. Like I mentioned, I do a lot on Sundays so that you have extra throughout the week. I do that with a crock pot a lot. A crock pot or a pressure cooker, either one of those things are lifesavers for me as far as nutrition success. I throw several chicken breasts, some green beans, and some red potatoes in the crock pot, put it on low before I leave the house in the morning with some balsamic vinegar and water in there. When I come home, dinner is ready. And it's a healthy dinner, and it's easy. And if I make extra, I've got lunch the next day as well. I bought a pressure cooker. I can make rice quickly. I can steam vegetables quickly. Another appliance, and again, some people hate the clutter, that I bought recently and we'll get into in the next little webinar on protein shakes and super shakes, is one of those Bullet Ninja, whatever you want to call them, tiny micro desktop or countertop blenders. Myself, my teenage son, that is a lifesaver, and adherence goes through the roof when you don't have to pull the blender out, take it apart, clean it, put it back together, store it under the cap. It's all about convenience. I'm no different than you. I understand how valuable time is and what all of these infographics, and I am trying to do is simplify your life and get you to think about food ahead of time and be prepared. That's how we're going to be successful. All right, guys, let me know what questions you have. Post under here the questions you have, and I'll jump on and monitor them as we go and answer them. And hopefully we can all learn here and move toward our goals.